So, Mir, it looks like we were right about those perfect sonic booms.
Yeah, at least the fact that they exist, we still don't quite know how they work, I suppose.
Sonic Doria. So, this is something really simple, but there's actually a lot to unwind here, a lot to talk about it, and even some concerns about this altogether.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
let me first by talking about what Capcom said on their Twitter. They said Guile's legendary Sonic Boom has additional properties in Street Fighter 6. There are two kinds of them. When inputted with perfect timing, Guile's signature move becomes even more boomtastic. And let me show you guys the clip of that happening.
Sonic Boom. Perfect. Yeah, Sonic Boom.
First off, from the footage that Capcom shown us, which was a very short clip, it shows an exclusive combo. What does this perfect Sonic Boom do so far that we know of? Like, so far, it just looks like hit stun, right?
Yeah, and actually, it seems that the basic Sonic Boom has very little frame advantage. We see Guile try to combo into a light punch, and that doesn't work with the normal Sonic Boom. For
Yeah.
comparison, in Street Fighter 5, you can combo into a sweep.
Yeah, so much frame advantage is ridiculous. Do you think it does more damage, the enhanced Sonic Boom?
That's difficult to say. It does seem bigger visually. Like the Sonic Boom itself seems bigger on top of being faster. So I really don't know. I feel like the frame advantage would be the more damage that you need in the first place.
So the big question a lot of people in the community are asking right now is how does this even work? Like Capcom didn't even explain how do you do the frame perfect Sonic Boom. So what do you think, Mayor?
I guess there's three major theories that we have right now, or at least based on what I've seen and what people are saying and what I also personally think.
Mm-hmm.
One is that we have a just frame Sonic Boom, and that is based on the input. So you know how for a Sonic Boom you normally do back, forward, and punch.
Yeah.
But the theory is that if you do it very fast, where you press forward and punch at around the same time, like one frame apart or something, then you would get the empowered Sonic Boom. So you'd have
Okay.
to do the motion perfectly, basically. In this case, it wouldn't have anything to do with charge. It would just be the motion itself.
The execution.
And
Okay.
yeah, exactly. The second theory is that instead it has to do with the amount of frames you're charging. So when you're doing a charge move, you have to charge for a certain amount of frames before you can perform it.
Mm-hmm.
And this theory goes that if you charge a specific amount and then do the Sonic Boom, you get the empowered version.
Interesting. Okay.
And then the third theory, which is the one that I prefer to be true, I guess this is my theory, is that you have an incomplete charge where you get the poopy Sonic Boom. So you didn't charge long enough, you get the not very good Sonic Boom. And
Mm-hmm.
then after a certain threshold, then that's when you get the perfect Sonic Boom. So like you charge
Oh.
for a very long time, and that's when you get the perfect Sonic Boom.
So every time you overcharge, basically, you'll
Yeah,
get
I
the
guess you could say that. Yeah.
overcharge it. Okay. Okay. So Hudson on Twitter tried breaking this down frame by frame to get an answer for this, but it still doesn't really help us. He said that the first boom was after 4 frames of Guile walking forward. So we saw Guile like tiptoe a little bit. And then he said the perfect boom was 1 frame after walking forward. So the just frame is at least 2 frame timing, but that still doesn't give us like a clear answer, you know?
Yeah, this is implying that the way you get perfect booms is with the just frame method. So like you have to do the input really precisely.
Yeah.
Which could be a red herring, right? Because what if it is charge based? Then we really could not see it from that footage. Like the
Hmm.
fact that someone is walking for it doesn't really matter. So and I'm not really sure.
But like, what is your
Mhm.
concerns? Like, why do you want it to be the third way where you overcharge?
Well, okay, so let's start with the just frame method since it's the first one that we mentioned, and it seems to be, I don't want to say the leading theory, but I've heard it quite a bit.
Okay.
My concern with that is mostly related to the kind of controller that you use. To do back forward very fast, if you're using a classic lever controller, you
Yeah.
have to go through neutral, right? That's just how it works.
Right.
So that already delays you, and then you have to press forward then punch at the same time. That could be harder to achieve on a controller like that than something like a hitbox, for example. And
Yes.
we already have had a lot of complaints about the fact that hitbox is so good that this is another thing that would make it even better, right?
Even more advantages. I guess like even on a controller, like if your thumb's on the D-pad mirror, like if you pivot your thumb forward, there's a high chance you might accidentally go like down forward punch,
Yeah.
down or
Yeah, for
down
example.
back or whatever when you're sliding your thumb. You know what I mean? The controllers aren't specifically made for fighting games. And then
Mhm.
on top of that, even on a joystick, you can't do it every time. There's going to be some, error. But on a hitbox, it's literally just one button, the other button,
Mhm.
and that's it. You'll never
Yeah.
mess it up, you know?
You don't even have to release back because all the system works on a hitbox. You can just tap forward.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess for the second theory, my concern with that instead is the fact that it's impossible to visually see how much charge you have. Luke, I guess, is a great example of how you can have a mechanic like this, but have a visual indication what is going on. So you can use Luke's arms when he's doing his charge knuckle
Mhm.
to kind of like guesstimate at what point of the charge you are. And you can use that as a visual cue when you're doing a combo, for
Right.
example. And it has nothing to do with the charge itself, like as in because he's not a charge character, he's a motion character naturally. So that's much more intuitive, I think.
I
But
see what you're saying. I mean, there are a lot of like visual and audio cues for other characters that need just frame timing, like Cody when he does his command grab in V Trigger 2, or
Mhm.
Abigail when he charges his back hard punch. You kind of just know the timing by looking at it. It can help you. So doing a charge move where you don't actually see the charge, that makes a lot of sense. You were mentioning too, Mir, that about they would have to design certain combos where you'd be able to get the perfect charge. Like, so you're talking about like if Guile was able to do standing medium punch, crouching medium punch, perfect sonic boom, they would have to make sure the charge time was perfect to perform that, right?
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be really exciting at all if you get a perfect boom in the combo because you're expected to get it, right? Like the game would be built
Mm,
around the fact
I
that
see what you're
the
saying.
timing is built in the combo. So,
Right.
like, what is the point of that?
So let's talk about the third method now, the one that you want.
The big advantage of that method to me is that there's really it's not about execution necessarily, it's more about how prepared you are to execute your combo. So
Mhm.
that's more of a player skill to me, at least. And also it could give an opportunity to use a worse version of your sonic boom if you really need to, right? So it gives you some flexibility.
It would
I
also
think
give
this
the
method.
the non-perfect boom like a use.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not just a feels bad moment. I screwed it up and I got the bad boom, right? It's
Right.
like there is a legitimate use. It's just a boom that didn't require a lot of charge.
Mhm.
That's why I prefer this idea personally.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't want it to just be a power creep of this sonic boom is straight up better than the other sonic boom in every way.
I was thinking about something just now. Another way of making this perfect boom do something completely different than the normal booms. The perfect boom is really fast, and they make it so that that becomes your projectile that you use to deal with people from full screen because of parry and all of that, right?
Yeah.
So you give it an alternate use. And you still have uses for your normal projectiles where they can be very slow, for example, right? Well, the perfect boom cannot be very slow. So you create a situation where you kind of like have to choose between which one of the two you want to use, and you have control over whether or not, which one of the two you're picking, basically.
Even if they made it the perfect booms can only be done with heavy punch, right? And you can't do a light punch perfect sonic boom, for example. I don't want to just sound negative about this though, like there's some really cool benefits of adding like a just frame sonic booms because we want there to be more depth in this game. They're already doing a really good job with this drive system. And even if you notice the move list of all these characters, they have giant move lists, like really big. Like Ryu's toolset is the biggest I've ever seen. Like out of all the Street Fighter games. Chun-Li, she got the stances, and Jamie with the drinks,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
even Luke where he can charge as well. And now we see Guile, he obviously has an extensive move set. We want this. We want it so that, hey, there is a Guile player that can do just frame sonic booms every time. Like, that would be amazing to see. We
Hmm.
want there to be some distinction. So there's some pros to this too.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. I understand the skill argument, and I think it is important to find new ways of not expanding the skill cap necessarily, but giving more ways to people to show off in a way their mechanical skill, right? Because this is just execution in this sense. And in Street Fighter 5, you could have examples like if you're able to do all Gal's corner combos, right? The Sonic Boom loops and all of that. That would be a great example of execution, or all the difficult charges. And I guess for Street Fighter 6, maybe since they're moving away from a link heavy game, as we were discussing before, this is like their solution that they had for one of Guile's mainstay moves, right? This is the
Mhm.
way you get the combos.
So I also want to point out too, Mary, that this is not just going to be about Guile going forward. Because before Capcom did this tweet and basically confirmed that these perfect sonic booms exist, we actually posted a tweet ourselves showing that, hey, Luke says perfect when he does his charge, when they have that footage with the two CPUs on the hardest setting. And
Yeah.
Vicious actually tweeted me, and he confirmed after playing Street Fighter 6 that the charge and all that is basically the same thing as Street Fighter V, where Liu can charge and he hits them up higher and gets more juggle potential, right? Or a bigger juggle combo. So now that we know that, hey, there's multiple characters that say perfect in this game, I'm going to assume there's going to be a bunch of characters in Street Fighter 6 that will have kind of these just frame or perfect properties.
That is possible, but at the same time, it could be a nod to the fact that Guile and Luke are related in the sense that Guile is
Oh, yeah.
Luke's new master.
Mhm.
So that's why they both have a charge
yeah,
move
that's a good
that
point.
works this way.
I mean, just frames existed in Street Fighter V anyways. Like even Cadine, you know, she had the Tenko.
Yeah.
What do you think the casual players or the non-competitive players? You think they'll like this?
It's difficult to say because it depends a lot on attitude. Like I was mentioning before, I think for a competitive player, it becomes more of a situation where if you cannot do the perfect boom, then you're screwing up. But
Yeah.
maybe for a casual player, it's the opposite. It's like, oh, I did a perfect boom. I'm so good at this game, you know? And it could be hype for them. I mean, honestly, I have to admit, I'm not a casual player, so it's very difficult for me to be in the headspace of the casual player, right?
Mhm.
But if you don't have access to it on modern controls, maybe that could be a stepping stone in a way. It's like, oh, I want to really do this cool sonic boom that I know the Gal can do,
Yeah.
but I cannot on modern controls. Maybe I will try classic controls,
Mhm.
for example. But it could go either way. It's like, oh, this game is dumb, but why can I not do the perfect sonic?
Yeah, that's true. So we're pretty much in the
I
dark here until Capcom gives us some more clarity on how it's done. But I think we covered pretty much all the pros and cons of it, Mir, in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to double down on your statement. I think when we have these kind of situations where we are very unsure of what a mechanic means or how it is implemented, it's really important to understand that until we have a hands-on information or, they specifically tell us how it works, like you were saying, every theory is just a theory.
Guys, let us know in the comments below, how do you feel about these just frame sonic booms and the fact that maybe other characters might have just frames to their specials as well? Are you guys concerned that we might have a little power creep here and they'll have a huge advantage on players that can do it every time compared to the players that don't? I'm really curious on your guys' thoughts, and we'll get back to you guys as soon as Capcom gives us some more information on exactly how this is done. So until next time, guys, take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.